Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Beyond Testing podcast. Today we have a guest, like a third episode in a row, Sami Söderblom. He's an epic level coach in software testing, highly regarded keynote speaker. In the past, he has worked as the head of QA for an organization of 40k people. And nowadays, he's an entrepreneur in software and quality assurance as well. So I want to welcome you. Welcome to the show, Sami.
Thank you, Antti.
This is awesome. So today we are going directly into the question. The question goes like this. Are you ready, man?
No, never. But
never ready, yes, of course. But
nonetheless,
this is like exploratory testing. We have to do this anyways. That's why you're here. So what are the most common pitfalls of software projects and how to avoid them?
Well, that's
that's a deep topic.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Pitfalls.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. But I think like we can like look at the question from both of our like points of view, like this like our peaks or wherever we look at the like landscape.
Yeah.
So what are the pitfalls we see, and are there any ideas on how to avoid it?
Currently, I'm solving quite a lot of like communication challenges.
Yeah.
Like that. Software services are trying to be built in a way that business is separate entity, development is separate entity, design, testing are separate entities, and you do these painful handovers. It demolishes the flow.
Yeah.
That is quite crucial in building those. And it, if you consider doing software and digital services in that way, you will always lose to those who can actually communicate and work together.
That's true.
So what I'm basically trying to do is bring the flow.
Yeah. So if you want to mess up a software project, you gotta like mess up the communication first.
Yeah.
So that's like a surefire way to do it.
Yeah.
There's actually a really interesting thing that I noticed when we were like agreeing on the session of shooting this.
Yeah.
And we were discussing if we meet over lunch before we come here at noon. And I texted you that like, yeah, let's take our lunches on separate tracks and meet at the venue or at the studio in Kamppi at 12 o'clock. So usually how people respond, they say that it's okay or they send thumbs up. But what you did was remarkable. You said that, yeah, let's do lunches separately and meet up at 12. So you relate the same information back to me, and that actually already like splits the chance of misunderstanding into half. Because you relate the same information, you clarify and verify that this is how you understood the message back to me, so I can review it. Yeah. And that's like an easy way to do lots of like deal with lots of communication problems. And most of the problems are emerged by just like tossing that like careless okay to the person you're communicating with.
And just alone with when we specify what we want to build with requirements or some kind of use cases or whatnot that we then are building, we often do quite half-assed job at it. So we don't actually test the requirement itself. We just, okay, this is blah, 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 vague, conflicting requirement and so on. What that does, it dictates the rhythm for the rest of it. So, and that's one way to that's one way to mess things up.
Yeah,
like not communicating those expectations.
Yeah.
For instance, when we had those messages, I made you realize that you need lunch also.
Yeah, that's true. It didn't occur to me before.
Yeah, so, I was moving so fast that you forget to eat.
Yeah, that's how it goes with me.
So
and then I just crash.
Yeah,
no.
But that's and that's not like it's not necessarily. It doesn't have to be standardized or in a way that you have to have certain rules for it. Just try to step into the other one's shoes, try to understand the need, especially the customer need, what they are. And that's why people are doing, development teams are doing faster releases to understand the customer need, to get the fast feedback from the production and so on. So it's all about communication.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah.
And actually, in the area, in the field, actually, this is like a communications answer to the question from you. Um, but one thing that like it really like sparks me to think about is you probably been in a situation where you end up playing like email ping pong with someone, you know.
Yeah.
So you send an email and they come back to you with more questions.
Yeah.
And like you're like, okay, so this is how it goes. Like, what didn't you get? And then you just like email back and forth.
Yeah.
And also you end up playing ticket ping pong, you know, with bugs, bug reports.
Yeah.
So what I've noticed is that in the beginning, if you just like use a few minutes more to think if this is usable information for that other person and how could you make it more usable, only that few minutes would eliminate a lot of the ping pong situations from your like workflow. Absolutely. And those are the things that like waste and like a thief time in a sense in the project a ton.
Yeah.
And for example, in bug reporting, I always endorse people or like try to like get them to do more showing than telling, you know.
Yeah.
If you have an option to give a screenshot instead of just text, use it. If you have an option to like build on video communication, you gotta do it because that's how you save both of your time.
Yeah.
And for example, if the project allows it to happen, we for example use loom.com, where you do screen recording and you speak on the video.
Yeah.
As tool for bug reporting. And that's an awesome way to avoid most of the ping pong because everybody believes when they see something, but when you tell them, they are just like doubtful a bit. Yeah. I'm not sure if you've noticed that.
Absolutely, and also the ping pong, it can happen in chat, for instance, in Slack messages and that kind of, and it often creates tension, unnecessary tension. People start getting angry to each other because of the person used the wrong emoji or something.
Yeah,
that could easily be avoided by calling this person or something. Like that. This is all boils down to communication, and especially in the times when we are still working quite a lot remotely.
Yeah.
Or location agnostic way. So yeah, you have to really focus on communication on that. So.
Yeah. On the topic of wrong emoji, I have to like just pick this one just a bit up.
Yeah.
The topic of wrong emojis. Just a quick question for you guys in the studio or staff. A quick question. If someone sends you an emoji with only the eyes and a smiling face, how do you like interpret that? So how do you feel about that? Is it more like this or is it like this?
Depends.
Yeah, that's the answer. It depends.
Yeah.
He says that it depends. So that's the answer, because like if you just send a smiling emoji, that may also look like this for some people. So you gotta like overemphasize the emotional states that you want to convey in form of for example text.
Yeah.
So if you do a video, you can obviously observe my emotional states more here, so it's easier. But anyways, that's too. A smiley face can be this one as well.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Do you know on what did I spend my time the most?
Yeah.
When working as a boss in that big company.
Well, I think you were mostly in meetings with people who you needed to influence.
No, I actually I didn't do that much meetings.
Okay.
I had like 3 or 4 meetings a week, which is quite few for a boss.
Yeah.
But the most time I spent dealing with the tension that was created by this ping pong thing. They started getting it depends. Started escalating things, and then they become angry out of nothing.
Yeah.
So there was a storm in a glass all the time.
Yeah.
And I just had to dismantle that and make people like work again together instead of fighting and so on. So that was actually, it was surprising for me that I had to spend so much time on dismantling all these tensions. But yeah. Communication. It seems that we almost spent all of the time answering the question: what are the pitfalls of software projects, and how to mitigate them?
it seems like all of it, like in our world, seems to boil down to communication.
Yeah.
So
I have some.
obviously
If we had time, I have some other. But also,
I think we have to go through them a bit quickly here, so that the audience gets more than just communication. But I have to tell that like it's a big role of communication, because like if you have, for example, unrealistic deadlines, that's originally a communication problem.
Yes.
So the communication underlies most of the stuff. So everything is built on that, and that's actually Patrick Lencioni has those 5 dysfunctions of the team, and it's like a pyramid.
Yeah.
And the base of the pyramid is that's the trust between the people on your team, and the trust is built on the communication.
Yeah.
So that's so easy. Everything else crumbles if that doesn't work. So but then just like to quickly go through some other pitfalls, like let's aim for 2 more, so we get a like list of 3 for the audience.
Yeah.
So what else would you have?
But the communication is such a high.
We have to go back to the communication now.
Yeah. Communication is just a high note.
Yeah.
That I would want to stay in that.
Yeah.
But there are different things, like for instance, people are chasing too big. Like if you look at all the problems in the media that are in the digital realm, that another system has broken down, or we have spent 100 million on nothing, and so on. That's too big. It's always too big. People who are in charge, they want that feather on their cap on building something too big. So start with small, make it completely ready, and scale, rather than build big things.
It's actually, I'm not sure where this quote comes from, but it goes something like this: every leader raises up to the level of their incompetence. So I think that like sums it up. So it's like too big is like it's a like choose a target that you want to like achieve. So you can like paukutella henkseleitä, in Finnish.
And we have these people, when they have these projects in their CV that were in the media, they cannot get any proper jobs anymore.
And the unrealistic deadlines and unrealistic budgets, unrealistic features and stuff like that all boil down to these like basics of communication, aiming for too big, too early and stuff like that. So so a lot of the time, like when we see symptoms of like falling into a pit, it's pitfalls. The symptoms have few underlying reasons, and these like aiming for too big and communication are few of those reasons. Can you come up with other reasons that may be like those underlying causa prima, I would say?
Well,
prime cause.
Well, of course, a lot of disruptions happen. All the time, surprises. In the market and new technology. For instance, AI is now again with the AI. It has disrupted quite a lot. Whatever plans you had before that, then it's
the inability to adapt to those surprises. I would say is the pitfall.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so true. In this like age of AI, when things move fast, the big organizations are in trouble because they are slow to adapt with their policies, with their legal advice and stuff like that. So which tools can we use and should not use? Meanwhile, the small ones have the 100% ability to use anything they need, and they move fast. So it is harder to protect a big business, than to start a new one at the moment. And that's like, I would say that's a big one. So the failure to adapt into this fast disruptive changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 3.
There are also signals. Like you can already tell whether you are a fast mover or not. And you can run tests on it. We as testers, we can provide that information, whether you are able to adapt to change. We can run tests for it. And especially in bigger companies, those tests usually end up fail. But you should learn from it and try to. For instance, when I was working in the biggest private employer in Finland, they had run those tests there, and they had look inwards and came with the signals that we need to change. We need to found elements within this company that are fast, that can create internal references on how it's like to be fast. And it worked beautifully. And currently they are scaling that to the whole organization. That's how you can small examples, small internal references, and scaling that up. Then you can change even the
finding
biggest
the bright spots.
Yeah, even the biggest can change that one.
Yeah. So to quickly sum up the three things, 3 pitfalls. The first one was it was the failure to communicate and failure to place value in the level of communication, I would say. The number 2 is ego plays a big role.
Yeah.
And then number 3 is the failure to adapt. And I hope that we were able to give some insight, some ideas on how to avoid those pitfalls as well. However you feel about this, please don't hesitate to comment. And if you feel like you need more questions answered in our future episodes, you can ask them in the comments as well. I feel like we've answered the question for today.
Yeah, same.
That's awesome. So it's time to wrap it and see the audience on the future episodes. I wanna wish you everybody a best day. Okay, take care and bye-bye.